Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Caitlin Clark effect because men lie, women lie, sellouts don't. Caitlin Clark, if you guys don't know, she's genuinely back on her heater. She's in her rhythm. She's in her groove. It's been a while since we've seen Caitlin Clark string together a bunch of great games like this, one of which being a monstrous performance where she dropped 45 points. Caitlin Clark broke the scoring record for a franchise scoring record. She leads in the high most points per game, most points in a game, and she also leads the entire WNBA all time in most assists per game. Caitlin Clark has just continuously shut the naysayers up. She's obviously one of the most hated guards, not even most hated guards, most hated players I've ever seen. And she just puts her head down, continues to work, continues to work. So I went ahead and did some digging. I was like, okay, let me see what the crowd is looking like. Let me see what the feedback is looking like. Because last year and years prior, and the year prior, I remember we would get a sellout almost every game. It would be a notification. It would be the talking point. The viewership ratings would be getting smashed. This, that, and the third. But this season, I went ahead and I dove in and I'm like, let me study something real quick. Let me see when do we sell out. And let me see what was the momentum leading to that sellout. Let me see what was the response after the sellout. And let me also see how did Caitlin Clark perform in the games before the sellout, the games during the sellout, and the games after the sellout. And what I came up with was pretty interesting. So let's get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen, shall we? As you can see, slide number one. On May 30th, 2026, Caitlin Clark played the Portland Fire. The Indiana Fever played the Portland Fire. This game is still Portland Fire's highest attended game, and this is a road game, by the way. This is not in Indiana in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, right? But I'm getting somewhere. This game is still Portland Fire's highest attended game, and it came playing against the biggest draw in women's sports, Caitlin Clark. Then comes the big fight with Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, which ended up in the Fever getting blown out because Stephanie White got emotional instead of leading like a true head coach. I'm not gonna harp too much on Stephanie White today because obviously, like I said, I'm starting to see Stephanie White trend towards playing towards CC style, and the more I see that, the less my criticism towards Stephanie White will be. 19,347 seats were sold. Tickets were sold. That's nearly a sellout for the Portland Fire, just right on the borderline of selling out. But listen, man, this is the crowd Caitlin Clark brings because this is their most watched and this is their most seated game, the most tickets they've sold with Caitlin Clark in the building. So that brings us to June 4th, the game after that, right? The Fever played versus the Atlanta Dream, and they still sold 17,000 tickets. If you guys don't know, the Indiana Fever's capacity is 17,274 seats, okay, in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Now, with that being said, yes, they sold 17,000 tickets in this game. Yes, they borderline sold out in this game, even though 300 missing seats is nothing to scoff at. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely something you look at and be like, damn. But anyways, it's still huge, man. There was about a week in between the Fire game and the Dream game. So that means they had nearly a week to promo this game and sell tickets. And that's, if you guys don't know, when it's a huge gap in between games like that, tickets tend to be sold way more frequently because it isn't like every 2 games. You have more time to plan, call out, rearrange certain things, this, that, and the third. So listen, like I said, man, this was about a week before the Fire game, between the Fire game and the Dream game. Plus, we are talking about Caitlin Clark, the biggest draw in women's sports. There used to be a waiting list for tickets to her games. So this shows how much decline they face when Caitlin Clark is mishandled in the fans' eye. You're coming off a performance where Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White had a fight. You're smearing her name, so there's a whole bunch of controversy going on. So fans like, okay, we're not showing up. And with that being said, the following game, fans responded. 15,000 tickets. Just keep in mind, these are counting resellers, tickets, etc. So it was way less than 15,000 when you really look at the full picture. But anyways, Caitlin Clark strings together some good games. Oh no, this wasn't even the 4th game, right? This was the 4th game. This was the game on the 16th. So Caitlin Clark was stringing together some good games and dropped 21 points, 5 rebounds, 14 assists on the tempo, building momentum. Now, this right here was interesting because y'all remember this. We broke these games down, right? Caitlin Clark was looking like, okay, she's back in her groove. She's looking like, okay, even though she's going rogue, Caitlin Clark is doing her big one. 15,000 tickets sold, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 14 assists. Fans like, oh yeah, we're showing up next game. And despite them not being able to sell out against the Dream on the 4th, They come back with a whole week to think about if you want to play buy tickets to this game or not. Just 2 days after playing this team, the Toronto Temple, the Indiana Fever sold out. Oh, my fault, Kels. June 18th, 2026, the Fever played the Atlanta Dream just 2 days right after playing the Toronto Temple, and they sold out. Something that they couldn't do against the same exact team, the Atlanta Dream, in the same exact arena just 2 weeks ago. That shows me that fans will pay if CC is playing her game. It's not about the team they're playing. It's not about just if Caitlin Clark is playing. It's about if Caitlin Clark is looking like she's allowed to play her game. That's the only common denominator that separates this game on the 18th versus the game on the 4th. And you want to know how wild it is? Like I said again, I want to drill this into your brain. They had nearly an entire week from the last game against the Fire to the Atlanta Dream game, and versus right here where they only had 2 days to decide if fans wanted to come and show out, and they sold it out. Why? Because Caitlin Clark was stringing together good games. I'm telling you guys, she's moving the needle. Let's move on. Only 2 sold out games before this. Wow. 2 sold out home crowds before this. Prior to this 3-game sellout streak that we're talking about right now, that we're on right now, while we're feeling so good at All-Star break, the Fever haven't sold out a home game in over a month since June 18th versus the Dream. And before that, they haven't sold out a home crowd since the season opener versus Dallas Wings. The Fever have only sold out 2 home games out of 8 home games prior to this current 3-game sellout. That is criminal when Caitlin Clark is on your team. But as I said before, this is just my observation. I'm not going to read too much into it because, like I said, they are on a 3-game streak. So take this with a grain of salt. I will criticize it if I feel like, you know, we're having some regression as far as Caitlin Clark regaining control back over the offense. But we'll see, you know. Moving on. Now you know. Once again, this shows exactly what I mean when I say fans are the ones in power. When we don't like how Caitlin Clark is being handled, boom, you're going broke. You know, and you got to figure it out. So with that being said, 3 straight sellouts, 3 straight wins. Thanks to the best fans in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is looking like she's regaining control over the offense. She's dominating. She dropped the 45 points. She's smashing records again. And like I said, chat, if Caitlin Clark was given the keys, she would win MVP damn near unanimously, right? And we know they're going to give at least 1 or 2 votes to somebody else, maybe AJ or whatever the case may be. But if Caitlin was playing her game from the beginning of the season, I can confidently say the MVP race would not be close because this girl would be breaking records damn near every night. She was top 3 or top 4 in her rookie year. She was the favorite coming into the 2025 season, and she would clearly, with knowing how she has to move in this league now, she would clearly be the front runner for the MVP this year if she was allowed to play this game. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the sub button. Hype this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if y'all agree that the Fever mainly sell out when Caitlin Clark looks like she's allowed to play her game. Or do you guys think I'm reaching over here? Let me know in the comments. I'm open to criticism. I love you guys. Take care. I will be live for the All-Star game as well. So make sure y'all kick it with me later on tonight in a couple of hours. I love y'all. Peace out, baby.